अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। तमाम अहबाब जमात हाय अहमदिया की इत्तला के लिए ऐलान किया जाता है कि आज मोरखा 22 अप्रैल सन 2003 मजलिस इंतखाब खिलाफत का इजलास बसदारत मोहतरम चौधरी हमीदुल्लाह साहिब मुनक़िद हुआ और उसके बाद मुकर्रम व मोहतरम साहिबजादा मिर्ज़ा मसरूर अहमद साहिब सल्लमहु रब्बहु को खलीफतुल मसीह मुंतखब किया।
बैठ जाएं।
ने फरमाया है दोस्त बैठ जाएं।
When Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis were elected, his first order was to sit down, and everyone just sat down on wherever they were. So we were on the roads, and we just sat down there. So everyone was very relieved when Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis was elected, and the feeling of sorrowness turned into happiness, that there was someone to lead us and we could follow new instructions from our new Khalifa. Because I was just near the Fadl Mosque, I had few chances to meet Hazrat Khalifatul Masih. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih was very loving, and he seemed to be having a personal relationship with us whenever we met him, and that was unmatchable with any other relation. And I had a chance to meet him 3 times during my stay immediately after his Khilafat, and every time I felt so proud that he knew me, and I felt like I had a personal relationship with him. And I always used to introduce myself to him, but he seemed to be knowing me anyway.
The 22nd of April 2003 marks the day that Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, was chosen as the 5th Khalifa of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Community. His Holiness has now served the Jamaat for over 20 years, preaching the true teachings of Islam and guiding us to the right path.
There were some few names suggested, and I don't know how I was elected, and I was elected anyway.
This documentary takes a look at some key aspects of the life of our beloved Imam, may Allah be his helper. Sahibzada Mirza Masroor Ahmad was born on the 15th of September 1950 in Ravva, Pakistan. He is the great-grandson of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, and the first child to be born in the Promised Messiah's family after their migration from Qadian to Ravva. After obtaining his bachelor's degree from Talim ul-Islam College in Ravva, Hazur earned his master's degree in agricultural economics. Later in his life, his interest of agriculture and botany will prove beneficial not only for the beautification of Ravva and the development of the Gulshan Ahmed nursery, but also for the wheat experiment he would operate in Ghana during his waqf. Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad had served the Ahmadiyya Muslim community from a young age.
My question is, growing up, what were some of the ways you were able to stay attached with Khilafat?
You see, I only knew that I have to obey whatever the Khalifa says, and I have to love him. And I prayed for it even. Whenever I would see that today, when I went to see my Khalifa, I feel some different attitude on his face for myself. Then I prayed to Allah Ta'ala that if I have done something wrong, Allah Ta'ala forgives me. And if he has any doubt in his mind, for me, Allah Ta'ala removes it.
His devotion to the Jamaat during his time as a Khadim is clearly demonstrated by many responsibilities he took on throughout his younger years.
What's motivating is Hazur as a Khadim. He was Muhtamim Tajneed, and also he served as Naib Sadr within Khudam al-Ahmadiyya. And that itself is, as an exemplary and very motivating aspect for us, being in the National Amla, to see how Hazur has served within the Majlis, and also obviously within the Jamaat. Again, there is plenty of examples which again attract us and give us the energy to perform and to follow his footsteps.
My life for Waqf Zindagi, Tariq-e-Deed office was, I think, they didn't need me because they thought that we don't want somebody who is qualified in this particular subject. I wrote directly to Caliph Masih Salis, and he marked that letter to Tariq-e-Deed. So Tariq-e-Deed replied back to Caliph Masih Salis that we don't need this boy at present. As soon as Caliph Masih Salis received this letter, he said, "You don't need him, but I need him." Then he asked me to go through Nusrat Jahan to Africa, Ghana. He embraced me, and that was the first ever experience I had by embracing any of the Khalifas. So anyway, then I went to Ghana.
He was posted in Salaga as the headmaster of a secular secondary school established by our community in 1971. This was not an easy task, since the Muslims of that area considered secular education as un-Islamic.
मैं कि जब तुम मुझे फरमाने लगे कि तुम गए हो गाना, मैंने कहा जी हुजूर। तो कहते वो देख के आए हो जो हमारा कॉलेज है और जहाँ पे मैं रहा हूँ। मैंने अर्ज किया कि जी हुजूर मैंने देखा है। तो कहते हैं कितना बड़ा है? मैंने कहा हुजूर वो तो बहुत बड़ा है। कहते हैं जब उसकी तामीर थी तो खाकसर को हज़रत मसीह सालिस की तरफ से ये इरशाद मौसूल हुआ कि गालिबन 1 या 2 कमरे बना लिए जाएं। तो फरमाने लगे कि वो 1 और 2 कमरे से शुरू हुआ था काम, और आज तुम देख रहे हो कि कैसा बड़ा हुआ।
Another challenge was the accommodation of the headmasters.
The house was very small, 2 rooms, just for 3-4 feet. On one side there was kitchen, then toilet, bath. I stayed alone for almost 1 year without my family.
As an agriculturist, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad initiated a program of tree planting on the school grounds to check if the roof of the classrooms could be damaged by the frequent windstorms and to check for erosion during rains. Not only did he gather valuable information from these trees, they also made the school more beautiful and bore fruits when in season. After his time in Salaga, Hazur was transferred to a school in Esakir to again serve as headmaster.
There was no proper means of transport. There was only one government transport bus. We used to come from Tamale in the morning time and one in the evening time. Nobody knows at what time it will get broken down and you are stranded on the way.
तो सड़कों का निज़ाम अच्छा नहीं था, रास्ते बड़े दुश्वार थे, आने जाने के लिए ऐसी चीज़ें मुयस्सर नहीं थी। अब तो कंडीशंस बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ हो चुकी हैं।
But perhaps his most well-known achievement in Ghana was the wheat experiment. Along with 2 agriculturists based in Nigeria, Hazur prepared and submitted a study proposal to Hazrat Caliph al-Masih IV to check if wheat could be grown on Ghanaian soil. Upon approval, Hazur initiated the project and he carefully studied the soil and weather patterns of various areas in Ghana. By the grace of Allah, through his hard work and prayers, he eventually succeeded in growing wheat. The wheat experiment was a monumental achievement, and to show appreciation for this remarkable achievement by the Jamaat, the Ghanaian Postal Service released a commemorative postage stamp with a picture of the Ghana wheat on it to mark the Khilafat Centenary Jubilee year. As his time in Ghana as a Waqf-e-Azi came to an end, Hazur returned to Pakistan, once again ready to serve the Jamaat however needed.
इनकी जगह नाज़िर आला और अमीर मकामी इनके शहजादे मिर्ज़ा मसरूर अहमद साहब को बनाया है, तो मेरा इस इल्हाम की तरफ भी ध्यान फिरा कि गोया आप अब ये कह रहे हैं तू मेरी जगह बैठ। ये ज़िक्र खैर है ही बहुत प्यारा, और मैं सारी जमात को हज़रत मिर्ज़ा मसरूर अहमद साहब के लिए दुआ की तरफ तवज्जो दिलाता हूँ। और बाद में मिर्ज़ा मसरूर अहमद साहब के मुतालिक भी कि अल्लाह ताला इनको भी सही जानशीन बनाए, तू अब हमारी जगह बैठ जाए का मजमून पूरी तरह इन पर सादिक़ आए। और अल्लाह ताला हमेशा खुद उनकी हिफाजत फरमाए और उनकी इयानत फरमाए.
On December 10th, 1997, Huzur was appointed as Nazir Ala, the principal director and local Amir Jamaat. He served in this office until God the Almighty made him Khalifatul Masih. During this time, he set a prime example for how one should obey their Khalifa with great devotion and love.
हज़ूर अनवर अय्यदुल्लाह ताला के खुतबात हमारी दीनी तरबियत के लिए हर हफ्ते हमें सुनने का मौका मिलता है. अल्लाह ताला का ये बड़ा एहसान है कि जमात को एक हाथ पर इकट्ठा किया हुआ है.
In 1999, a resolution was passed in the Provincial Assembly of Punjab for the name of Ravva to be changed as it appeared in the Quran. Ravva then officially became Janab Nagar, and several signs were placed in prominent parts of Ravva with the new name. A few days later, a criminal complaint was filed accusing certain members of the community of erasing one of the signs. Though the complaint didn't mention any names, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad and other senior members were arrested. They were imprisoned for 11 days without bail, but were released without charge on the 10th of May 1999.
मुझे तो असीराने राय मौला में पता नहीं लगा कि मेरी असीरी के दिन किस तरह गुजर गए. अल्लाह के फजलों को ही देखता रहा. गर्मी के दिन थे, वो अल्लाह ताला गर्मी को ठंड में बदल देता था. बड़े आराम से जेल में बैठे रहते थे और सलाखों के पीछे रहते थे. कोई फिक्र नहीं थी, कोई फाका नहीं थी. दिल में यह ख्याल था कि जो दफ़ा मुझ पर लगी हुई है उसकी सज़ा या उम्र कैद है या फांसी है. इन दोनों में से कुछ तो मिलना है मुझे. इसलिए मैंने कहा अल्लाह ताला से मांगो और अल्लाह ताला को राज़ी करने की कोशिश करो. बाकी जमात की खातिर अगर सज़ा मिलनी है तो फिर ये तो बड़ी बरकत की बात है. लेकिन अल्लाह ताला कुछ और ही मंजूर था. अल्लाह ताला ने 10वें 11वें 12वें दिन मुझे जेल से बाहर निकाल दिया. तो इससे ज़्यादा मैं क्या कहूँ. मैंने को बड़ा तीर मारा, मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं किया वहाँ.
In the past 20 years, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat has rapidly grown under the blessed hand of Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper. Let us take a look at just a few milestones from the past 2 decades. In 2004, Hazur, may Allah be his helper, launched the annual National Peace Symposium, with the objective being to spread harmony among and between all people, regardless of faith and background. The event also underlines our openness as a community and promotes integration based on mutual respect. Guests from a variety of backgrounds come to the event, from religious leaders to politicians. Furthermore, an International Peace Award was launched by Hazur in 2009 and prized to individuals or organizations who conduct extraordinary commitment and service to the cause of peace and humanity.
Thus, it is clear teaching of Islam that the people of all nationalities and all races are equal. It is also made clear that all people should be granted equal rights without any discrimination or prejudice. This is the key and golden principle that lays the foundation for harmony between different groups and nations and for the establishment of peace.
Heard the phrase about religion is the cause of conflict, but it can also be the solution. And what I always get when I meet the Ahmadiyya community is the fact that love for all, hatred for none isn't just a form of words. It's not just a mantra. It actually comes from the heart and it means something. I think there's something that we can all learn from, and so religion can also, and faith, importantly, can be that road to peace.
Ashhadu la ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu.
By the grace of Allah, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community also celebrated 100 years of Khilafat under Khilafat-e-Khamisa in 2008. That same year, a special Jubilee Jalsa took place in the Excel Centre on May the 27th, and the annual Jalsa Salana UK was expected to be attended by more people than ever.
आज हम अल्लाह ताला के फजल से खिलाफत अहमदिया के 100 साल पूरे होने पर अल्लाह ताला के हजूर अपने शुक्र के जज्बात के इजहार के लिए यहाँ भी जमा हुए हैं और MTA की वसातत से दुनिया के तमाम ममालिक में अहमदी इस तकरीब में शामिल हैं।
रब्बना ला तुआखिज़ना इन नसीना।
Hazur instructed the Jamaat to make it a habit to recite the Jubilee prayers he prescribed daily. Through these prayers, we beseech Allah the Almighty to keep Ahmadis around the world safe from harm and ask that He grant Islam Ahmadiyyat its ultimate victory.
28 मई सन 2008 का सारा दिन रबवा के बासियों ने अपने घरों, जमाती दफातर और दीगर इदाराजात को सजाने में सर्फ किया और दारुल हिजरत को रंग बिरंगी झंडियों, हजारों लाखों दियों से इस तरह सजाया कि हर दरो दीवार जगमग जगमग करने लगे।
On this occasion, Ahmadis all around the world expressed their gratitude to Allah for the blessings of Khilafat by holding celebratory gatherings, giving gifts to neighbours and friends, and pledging allegiance to the Khalifa in the centenary pledge.
खुदा तू हमें इस अहद को पूरा करने की तौफीक अता फरमा। अल्लाहुम्मा आमीन, अल्लाहुम्मा आमीन, अल्लाहुम्मा आमीन।
In October 2005, the Jamaat reached a huge milestone when Hazur inaugurated Jamia Ahmadiyya, an institution of religious theological studies.
जामिया अहमदिया यूके तकरीबन 7 साल पहले या 8 साल पहले शुरू हुआ था लंदन में एक इमारत में, जो शुरू में तो बहुत बड़ी नज़र आती थी और आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जब तादाद बढ़नी शुरू हुई, तलबा आने शुरू हुए, क्लासें ज़्यादा होनी शुरू हुई, तो जगह छोटी नज़र आने लगी। उसमें इंतज़ामिया ने बड़ी मेहनत से, बड़ी कोशिश करके बहुत सारी जगहों को काबिल इस्तेमाल बनाकर वक्ती तौर पर अपनी ज़रूरत पूरी करने की कोशिश की। लेकिन कहाँ तक अल्लाह ताला के फ़ज़लों की जो बारिश जमात अहमदिया पर हो रही है, उसको संभालने के लिए अल्लाह ताला तो चाहता था कि वसअत पैदा करो, अपने दिलों में भी, अपनी जगहों में भी।
The first campus was located in Collier's Wood, but as Jamia continued to grow, the space became limited and the Jamaat looked for a new property. So, in 2012, Hazur Taala bin Nasrul Aziz inaugurated the newly built Jamia Ahmadiyya UK in Hazelmere, Surrey.
फिर जामिया जो लंदन में था पहले, यहाँ से मुंतकिल हो गया और गैर मामूली तौर पर कम कीमत पर मौजूदा जगह जामिया की अल्लाह ताला ने बेहतर माहौल और सहूलतों के साथ अता फरमा दी। तकरीबन 30 एकड़ उसकी ज़मीन भी है और ये सब जगहें इस्लामाबाद से 10 से 20 मिनट के फासले पर हैं। इस्लामाबाद के मौजूदा मंसूबे के साथ इन तमाम जगहों के ख़रीदने की प्लानिंग कोई पहले नहीं की गई थी, बल्कि ये सब अल्लाह ताला का मंसूबा था कि ये तमाम जगहें एक इलाके में करीब करीब इकट्ठी होती गईं और अल्लाह ताला ने मरकज़ के साथ साथ ही दूसरी चीज़ें भी मुहैया फरमा दी। जामिया भी करीब होना ज़रूरी है।
Myself and like many of the students, or I should say those students that came from overseas, who did not have their homes here and left their homes, left their families behind, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih became their fatherly figure. And on occasions, for example, when there was Eid and they were not able to go back home, they would spend some time in the company of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih. And in this manner, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih showered them with many opportunities to be in his close proximity and showered them with his kindness and his compassion and his love and affection. So throughout our 7 years in Jamia, and of course all missionaries, wherever they are around the world, they experience this. But being here within the United Kingdom, to have the physical presence of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, we felt it even more, and it was a privilege and honor, and of course a great responsibility upon us, that we were being showered with so much kindness and love and affection by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih.
So far, a substantial number of students have completed the 7-year course and graduated as missionaries of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community, serving humanity in various capacities all over the globe. In 2015, plans were made to redevelop the administrative block consisting of offices and function halls after being damaged by a large fire in September of 2015.
On the day of the event, I was in my office and I saw the smoke coming. I could not see literally the mosque because there's a building that covers it from our angle, but I could see the smoke. And then we got the news from friends and colleagues that this event has happened. We tuned into the news channels, YouTube, wherever we could. And there were some videos floating around on social media. So got the news, felt really bad, disheartened.
A new foundation stone was placed by Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad on the 4th of March 2018, and now the reconstruction of the Baitul Futuh complex in its own right is a sign of Allah's grace and mercy on the Jamaat. Hazur opened this building on the 4th of March 2023, addressing in its halls on the same evening as the Peace Symposium, where dignitaries from all walks of life got a chance to listen to him.
As a religious person, I firmly believe that this can only happen when mankind sets aside its selfish ways and materialistic desires and comes to recognize and worship the one God and strives to fulfill his rights and act upon his teachings. I pray that may Allah the Almighty grants people wisdom and may all mankind manifest those principal objectives that the Creator and Master of this world, Allah the Almighty, desires from us to fulfill His rights and those of His creation.
One of the promises that Allah Ta'ala makes regarding Khilafat is that Khilafat will, turn the fear of the Muslim Ummah into peace and security. And I feel like one way in which this materializes is, whenever a tragedy or a setback befalls the Jamaat, Huzur is a guiding light and a beacon for us, and he reassures us and gives us peace.
Under the supervision of Huzur, may Allah be his helper, plenty of schools and hospitals have been built in developing countries in an effort to provide education, care and equal opportunities to all. Huzur also guided the International Association of Ahmadiyya Architects and Engineers in 2004. When the first IAAE symposium took place, Hazrat Amir al-Momineen directed the association towards providing humanitarian aid and logistical support to the poorest countries of the world.
बाद हुजूर ने IAAE के ज़रिए से Humanity First के ज़रिए से इंसानी हमदर्दी के लिए ऐसे काम किए हैं कि जो unbelievable.
Under his guidance, committees such as Water for Life, Alternate Energy, Architecture and Model Village were formed to carry out his aspirations of providing drinking water and renewable energy to remote parts of Africa, providing for the provision of MTA and Ahmadi villages across Africa, and aid in the design and construction of schools, hospitals, community centers, and mosques to serve all, regardless of faith or culture. In his Friday sermon on the 12th of April 2019, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad indicated to the Jamaat that he would soon move to what would become the new markaz of the Jamaat.
I live near Masjid Fazl, and when Hazur was still living in Masjid Fazl, I had the blessed opportunity to go to almost all of the prayers regularly and pray behind Hazur in his presence. I saw Hazur when he came into the mosque. I saw Hazur when he walked out. He said salam every time he walked in, and I could always feel his presence, his persona, and just the blessing of Hazur being there was an excitement in itself. sometimes we couldn't pray inside the mosque, so we prayed in the adjacent hall, Mahmud Hall. And there was this excitement when Hazur finished the prayer that almost as many people as possible tried to go out into the area outside to see Hazur when he was coming back and to greet Hazur. And Hazur often would respond to the greetings and look at us. So that was an excitement in itself.
और मुझे यकीन है और बाद दूसरे शवायद भी जाहिर करते हैं कि उस खलीफा मसीह राबे रहमतुल्लाह ताला का यहाँ बाकायदा मरकज़ बनाने का इरादा था। बहरहाल हर काम के लिए अल्लाह ताला ने एक वक्त मुकर्रर फरमाया हुआ है। अब अल्लाह ताला ने तौफीक दी कि इस्लामाबाद में नई तामीर हुई है, कुछ दफातर बेहतर सहूलतों के साथ बनाए गए हैं, बाकायदा मस्जिद बनाई गई है, खलीफा वक्त की रिहाइश बनाई गई है और वाक़िन ज़िंदगी और कारकुनों के लिए घर भी तामीर हुए हैं और भी तामीर होंगे।
This historic moment took place on the evening of Monday, 15th of April 2019, when Hazur departed from London to the new Jamaat headquarters in Tilford, Surrey, to the land that is fittingly named Islamabad.
I was emotional that Hazur is moving, but knowing that the Jamaat has to expand, we knew that, I knew that ultimately Khilafat moved out from Pakistan, came here, and now it's time for the next move. And obviously it is emotional for a person, but I was able to build a personal connection by writing to Hazur regularly, being able to come to Islamabad and praying behind Hazur, being able to do mulaqats in Islamabad, had that personal connection with Hazur.
Now, with the new complex in Islamabad, in a small period of time we have seen a great transformation of what was once a makeshift residential facility into state-of-the-art offices and a residential complex.
इसी तरह अल्लाह ताला ने इस्लामाबाद मंसूबे के साथ ही फारनहम में एक बड़ी 2 मंजिला इमारत भी जमात को मुहैया फरमा दी, जिसमें प्रेस भी काम कर रहा है, 2-3 मील के फासले पे है ये इमारत और कुछ दफातर भी हैं। फिर खुदावंद अहमदिया को भी एक बड़ी इमारत खरीदने की तौफीक मिल गई यहाँ।
But then COVID hit, and the hopes of daily prayers behind Hazur for newly relocated locals were quickly dashed.
These restrictions, of course, meant that we were unable to go see our Khalifa. We were unable to go read namaz behind our Khalifa. And of course, because of these restrictions, the meetings, the mulaqatin that Hazur had with Jamaat members, they stopped as well. And this, of course, was a very difficult time. But Hazur showed a lot of affection and guidance, provided a lot of guidance for the Jamaat during these difficult times.
With uncertainty all over the world and communities struggling to agree on what to do, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat had a guiding light. Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad presented references from Islamic scholars of jurisprudence to show support for government measures and urged Ahmadis all over the world to cooperate with local authorities.
आजकल जो वबा फैली हुई है कोरोना वायरस की, उसके बारे में भी अब आपको तो दिलानी चाहता हूँ कि जैसा कि हुकूमतों के और महकमों की तरफ से हुकूमतों के ऐलान हो रहे हैं, उन एहतियाती तदाबीर पर हमें सबको अमल करना चाहिए। बाज़ होम्योपैथिक दवाइयाँ बहुत शुरू में मैंने होम्योपैथ से मशवरा करके बताई थी, जो हिफ्ज़ मातक़द्दुम के तौर पर भी हैं और बाज़ इलाज के तौर पर भी, उनको इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। ये एक मुमकिन इलाज है।
Hazur also continued to stay connected to the Jamaat through the Friday sermons and by hosting virtual meetings and classes with Ahmadis all around the world.
The immaculate and continuous spiritual guidance that Hazur has given us throughout this whole period and throughout his life. And I think that is one of the aspects of Khilafat that is truly, you cannot find it anywhere else. In no other human being, in no other institution, nowhere in the world will you find the spiritual guidance that Khilafat gives every individual of our Jamaat.
whatever I do in my life, I look to Huzur. I follow the teachings of Islam. I follow the teachings of Promised Messiah, and Huzur is like a beacon for me. And in my hard times, I turn to God, and I feel like that whenever I am going through something or whenever I need advice, the person that I look to is Huzur, because Huzur is that guidance for me.
I would share, especially that Huzur told one student, and he said that Kabhi Khuda se bewafai na karna, that do not be disloyal to God Almighty. So whether you're a missionary, whether you're a waqf zindagi, even whether you're just an ordinary Ahmadi, that's the basic thing that Huzur desires from us, that we have that connection with God Almighty and we're never disloyal to Him.
By the grace of Allah, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad has been a beacon, not only for Ahmadi Muslims, but also for communities all around the world, with heads of states, parliamentarians and religious leaders continuing to seek his guidance and advice.
ये सिर्फ जमात अहमदिया है जो खिलाफत के निज़ाम के तहत आज सारी दुनिया में इस्लाम की तरक्की और तबलीग का काम कर रही है, और जो तरक्यात हम नामसाद हालात के बावजूद देख रहे हैं वो अल्लाह ताला की फेली शहादत का सबूत ही तो है, अगर नहीं तो और क्या है। लेकिन जिसकी आंखें अंधी हैं उसको नज़र नहीं आता और ना आ सकता है। इंशाअल्लाह ताला जमात अहमदिया अल्लाह ताला के वादे के मुताबिक और हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की पेशगोई के मुताबिक कि खिलाफत अला मनहाज नबुव्वत जो हज़रत मसीह अलैहिस्सलाम से शुरू हुई होगी ता क़यामत चलेगी, हमेशा कायम रहेगी और कोई दुश्मन इसका बाल भी बेका नहीं कर सकता। बस हमें कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि अपने ईमानों में मज़ीद जला पैदा करें और खिलाफत अहमदिया से अपने आप को जोड़े रखें और इसके कायम रखने के लिए किसी कुर्बानी से भी दरेग ना करें। अल्लाह ताला हम सबको इसकी तौफीक अता फरमाए।
Under the leadership of Hazrat Amir al-Momineen, our Jamaat has seen great advancements over the past 20 years, with just a few of those showcased in this documentary. May Allah continue to strengthen the hand of our beloved Imam in the years to come, and may Allah enable us to follow his example in all aspects of life. Ameen.
زندباد خلافات أحمدية